today is my first day back in the gym. Today was actually the first day where I really had almost no symptoms while training at all. I think taking time off definitely helps me have more gratitude, I guess you could say. It definitely gives you a newfound appreciation for what you're able to do in life on a day-to-day basis. And I've dealt with this before. I've been to jail for longer periods in this. That was 12 weeks, this was 9 weeks, so not a huge time difference, but in both of these situations, it gives you a newfound appreciation for life, because with the situation that I had and what I was dealing with, it didn't only prevent me from training, it prevented me from doing a lot of things. I couldn't leave the house, I couldn't drive anywhere. It literally limited every aspect of my life, so it really gives you a different perspective and makes you really appreciate all the things you take for granted, all the things that you're just able to do on a day-to-day basis that you never even really think about. So training is obviously one of those things, but even just being able to go to the fucking grocery store or just do anything normally, talk to people and not have anxiety that you might have a flare-up and have to run out of the conversation. So it definitely gives you some new perspective when dealing with these things. You have no idea how fucking great it feels just to be able to sweat again and train without any issue at all. I feel super weak now at this point, obviously, after not training for 9 weeks, and it's not even really just the being weak aspect. You would think after not training for 9 weeks that you would come back into the gym and everything would feel great. You're so happy to work out again, and I am happy to work out again, but truthfully everything just feels like absolute shit. And right now the primary focus is just regaining that connection with my muscles, regaining that connection, with the weights, being able to move things with intent, being able to get a good contraction, because as of right now, getting back into it, my coordination's off, my neurological connection with the muscle is off, so it's just redeveloping those adaptations just to be able to work out efficiently. So it's not even just the being weaker aspect, it's just that everything feels so different getting back into training. And now I'm doing almost no volume, very little volume for each body part. I feel super sore after training. It feels like I've never trained before. I did calves the other day and they are absolutely hammered after doing maybe 3 working sets. And I'm used to doing like 12 working sets to absolute failure. I know that might seem like a lot to people, but that's what I was used to. And right now, I'm sticking between probably 2 to 4 working sets per muscle group, having more rest days and just getting back into the swing of things. I know in the back of my head that muscle memory is very real and it will come back very fast like it has in the past when I've dealt with these. So it's not, the biggest, most depressing thing in the world, but it does suck. It definitely is, a little upsetting that you come back into the gym and you feel like you've lost, so years of progress, and that may not necessarily be the case. Like I said, muscle memory is very real and it will come back eventually in due time, but getting back into it definitely is a little upsetting, having to work with the weight that you do have to work with at first. So right now, my main priority is just getting back to where I was before this happened, getting back to a peak, off season, being able to put back on the muscle tissue that I did have and possibly improve upon that. For the past 9 weeks, basically all I did, I pretty much isolated myself inside this house. I only left when I absolutely had to, and every time I would leave and I was driving in the car, I would get a flare up on my hands and my arms, and it was just extremely painful and very uncomfortable. I did not want to deal with it, so I did everything I could to avoid it at all costs, and that meant staying inside in a cold environment as often as I could. So basically what I did for 9 weeks straight is really, I just worked a lot. I worked 24/7. From the time I woke up, I was on my laptop, doing client work till probably 1, 2, 3 a.m. sometimes. It was a very upsetting, depressing situation, but in another sense, it was a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to get a lot done that I wouldn't have been able to get done had I been training. You don't really realize how much time bodybuilding in itself takes up with eating 5 meals a day, training 2-3 hours a day. It takes up a lot of your time, and now that I had all that removed and I was solely able to just focus on my business, it did help in that aspect a lot. So I am grateful for that. It was a blessing in disguise, and it allowed me to focus on other things in my life for that time being. But yeah, all I did for 9 weeks straight was basically just work a lot. See these? Chewy. I basically lived on these fucking things for the past 9 weeks. Like I said, I eat 1 to 2 meals a day, and sometimes one of those or 2 of those meals were just a couple of these. It really just, it all comes down to your mindset. When I was in jail, it was very depressing. Everything's taken from you. I can't really explain that feeling to anybody unless they've been in that situation, just being put there and all your freedom is taken from you and there's nothing you could do. Everything was out of my control. The only way that I got a hold of my emotions and was able to control myself, and basically what changed my life, was I read a book. And the book was by somebody named Eckhart Tolle, and the book was called The Power of Now. And it basically talked about spirituality, and I don't consider myself a spiritual person, but maybe I am. It talks about how to separate yourself from your ego, how much control you actually have over your emotions and over your mind. And what that did is it changed my perspective in so many situations and how to control myself when dealing with things that seem like they might be very detrimental, the end of the world, how to focus on other things, focus on the now, not focus on things that are out of my control. And what I could have done in this situation, I could have just lied around, cried every day, and been super upset and thought this is the end of the world. But what I have come to realize over years is that your mentality in any situation is one of the most important factors. And I think probably one of the reasons why I was able to even recover from this in 9 weeks is because of the mentality that I've maintained throughout this. And even though there were times where I was scared and it became very depressing and I wasn't sure if this was even going to be something that I was going to be able to recover from, because who really knows at the end of the day, I had to instill it in my mind every day that, this is temporary. I will figure this out. I will be fine. I just need to put my focus into other things that I can do right now that are in my control. And that can apply to so many things in life, really. You need to focus on what's in your control and not just sit around and cry and bitch and moan about things that you can't really control right now. This sucks, this happened to me, but what am I gonna do right now? Am I gonna just let this defeat me, or am I gonna better myself in some way, any way that I can? Moving forward, now that I'm able to get back into the swing of things, I'm training again. I really want to document this whole process and show you guys how long it takes to get back to the peak of where I was at. And I hope you guys can get something out of this, whether that's inspiration or perspective. But I'm ready to make a comeback, and I can promise you guys it's gonna be fucking crazy.